violence. Okay, so what sort of problem is that? Well, in New York State, for example, they've already more or less passed into law the proposition that there are pretty much as many pronoun descriptors as there are people claiming identities. And so on Facebook, for example, which is a good example of, say, common parlance, there's about 71 different gender identities already recognized and no agreed upon lexicon to represent any of them. And so the issue there is, well, what stops the infinite multiplication? And the answer to that is whim. And that's actually written into the law because the law already states that your identity is predicated on your subjective. And I would say whim. And that's also wrong. It isn't. So I was watching Louis C.K. the other night, and you know, he's a great philosopher. And he said that if you, I'm sorry, I don't normally use profanity, but Louis C.K. does, and I am quoting him. He said, well, if you call someone an asshole, they can't actually object because it's not up to them. It's up to someone else to determine if that's the case. Because that identity classification is actually a socially negotiated process. And that's the thing about your identity. The idea that your identity is a subjective construct. It's like, and I'm being literally truthful about that, that's what 2-year-olds think. And that's why they can't play with others. So 2-year-olds are egocentric. And they cannot expand their conception of the world to include the minds of others. They don't really learn to do that till between 2 and 4. And by the way, if they don't learn that by 4, they never learn it. And so by the time they're 4, what they learn is that your identity is actually a negotiation. It's a negotiation from moment to moment and also throughout the course of your life. So for example, even a child who's pretending knows that. You be the mom, I'll be the dad. We'll play house. You can take on that identity, and I'll take on this one. But we both have to agree on what the identity is, or we can't play. So your identity is actually part of the public commons, and the idea that it's your subjective determination is, it's so primordially wrong psychologically that it doesn't even register. So, and the notion, that's already written into the law, and that's an absolute catastrophe, because in every possible way, developmentally, psychologically, philosophically, biologically, it's a completely untenable proposition, but it doesn't matter because it's already written into the law. It's like your identity, it's like your reputation. You think you get to have the reputation you want? Well, good luck with that one. We're so good at tracking reputation that if you, we have an evolved module for remembering reputation. You cheat once, I'll never forget it. And you don't get to object to that. You know, I mean, you can, but that isn't going to change the outcome. And it doesn't change the fact that your reputation, which is certainly a major part of your identity, is something that's dependent on the interactions that you have with other people. To revert to the notion that that's a purely subjective construct is, it's just, I just can't even believe that we're seriously considering that, and much less writing it into the law.